Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to another Gords Poetry Show. Definitely summer, no question about that. Here in Southern Ontario, where we feel blessed by peace and harmony, as opposed to other parts of the world which aren't so blessed. And I extend my greetings to all you poetry lovers everywhere, at least English language poetry. That's what we do here. Certainly there'll be some translations here. In fact, actually, as I look down, there's several translations on the go here. And continuing on from previous shows, another couple of snippets from Wen Fu's, no, sorry, I always get this mixed up, Lu Chi's Wen Fu, The Art of Writing. Translated by the well-known Sam Hamill. And very well done too, I might add. This is a little sort of poetic discourse on the art of writing. We've read some of it before, and it's been so long I forget which ones we read and which ones we haven't. But we'll go to part 5. Refinement. Only when the poem is free of false emotion and confusion will passions come into perspective. Even then the poem may be blander than sacrificial broth. It may be a blurred note from a broken string. Hyper-aware of technique, the poem may be stripped of its seasoning like a feast without gravy. Or it may be good enough for 1 to sing, 3 to praise, and still lack grace. And still lack grace. Part 13, the masterpiece. I take the rules of grammar and guides to good language and clutch them to heart and mind. Know what is and what is not merely fashion. Learn what old masters praised highly. Although the wisdom of a subtle mind is often scoffed at by the public. The brilliant semi-precious stones of popular fashion are as common as beans in the field. Though the writers of my generation produce in profusion, all their real jewels cannot fill the little cup I make of my fingers. As infinite as space, good work joins earth to heaven. It comes from nothing, like air through a bellows. We carry the bucket from the well, but the bucket soon is empty. Wanting every word to sing, every writer worries. Nothing is ever perfected. No poet can afford to become complacent. We hear a jade bell's laughter and think it laughs at us. For a poet, there is terror in the dust. I don't know if I'd go as far as terror. Recently discovered, much to my dismay, because my friend Lawrence told me he saw him read in London 40 years ago, the Serbo-Croat poet Vasco Popa, from his complete poems, translated by Anne Pennington and Francis R. Jones. And I tip my hat to these translations. They're wonderful. And I mean, what judge am I? What do I know about Serbo-Croat? Less than nothing. Vasco Popa, 1922-1991, was born in Grebenac in the Serbian Banat. During World War II, he fought with partisan group. Afterwards, he studied in Vienna and Bucharest before completing his education at the University of Belgrade. He lived in Belgrade where, from 1954 to 1979, he worked as an editor for the publishers Nolit. He was elected to the Serbian Academy in 1972 and the Académie Mallarmé in Paris in 1977. Chunky little book, lots of great stuff. I'm going to read a selection from a 30-page suite, I would guess, called Far Within Us. 1. We raise our arms. The street climbs into the sky. We lower our eyes. The roofs go down into the earth. From every pane we do not mention grows a chestnut tree that stays mysterious behind us. From every hope we cherish sprouts a star that moves unreachable before us. Can you hear a bullet flying about our heads? Can you hear a bullet waiting to ambush our kiss? Two. Look, here's that uninvited alien presence. Look, it's here. A shudder on the ocean of tea in the cup, rust taking hold on the edges of our laughter, a snake coiled in the depths of the mirror. Will I be able to hide you from your face in mine? Look, it's the third shadow on our imagined walk. Unexpected abyss between our words, hoofs clattering below the vaults of our palates. Will I be able on this unrest field to raise you a tent of my hands? 3. Unquiet you walk along the rims of my eyes. On the invisible grating before your lips, my naked words shiver. We steal moments from the unheeding iron saws. Your hands sadly flow into mine. The air is impassable. 4. Green gloves rustle on the avenue's branches. The evening carries us under its arm by a path which leaves no trace. The rain falls on its knees before the fugitive windows. The yards come out of their gates and stand looking after us. 5. The nights are running out of darkness. Steel branches grasp the arms of passers-by. Only anonymous chimneys are free to walk the streets, which slice across our sleeplessness. In the gutters, our stars decay. 6. From the wrinkle between my brows, you watch till day breaks on my face. The waxen night is beginning to singe the fingers of dawn. Black bricks have already tiled the whole dome of the sky. 7. Toothed eyes fly over still waters. Around us purple lips flutter from branches. Screams hit the blue and fall onto pillows. Our homes hide behind narrow backs. Hands clutch at flimsy clouds. Our veins roll turbid beds and tables. Up shattered bones. Noon has fallen into our hands and turned all gloomy. An open grave on the face of the earth, on your face, on my face. 8. At the crossroads, we meet the shadows. Beneath the eyes of day. If I turn my head, the sun will fall from the branch. You have buried smiles in the palms of my hands. How can I bring them to life? My shadow keeps growing heavier. Someone is tying its wings. Goodness, you open your eyes, you hide me dumbly. A sudden night is hunting me. At the end of the avenue, a plane tree lights a cigarette. 9. Venomous green. Moments go marching across our foreheads. We travel out of our bodies in a silence drawn by our crazed glances. Between my eyelids, I hug your naked glance to crush the pain in it. 10. How with these buttons of bronze can we see the darkness mocks us, whips us with its hair? How with these paper tongues can we speak our words, set light to them, dry under the roofs of our mouths. How with these bodies of quicksand can we survive unbridled spoons, carry us away grain by grain? How with these leafless wooden arms can we embrace the carnations perish from our lips, perish in the hot sands? 26. In this morningless night, who is that light on the corner? It wraps me in your gaze, follows me to our blinded flat, shines on the empty levees of my veins. And who is that bird in the cracked sky of my heart? The only bird. It calls me with your voice, for white cannot fly down to earth. Well, thank you, Vasco Popa, from your perch in eternity. We'll not return to that one. Canadian poet James Pollock, who now seems to live in Madison, Wisconsin. His book Sailing to Babylon, from I think 2011. 2012, almost up to date. ablemusepress.com, San Jose, California. The Poet at 7. If only he could watch his teacher read, and, gazing, could lean there at his desk in the winter light of Hillcrest Public School, and listen as she speaks the strangest words, with her vivid face, her braided hair, and dark eyes like a real and ordinary siren's. If only he could wait like that forever while Miss Harman reads the Odyssey. His kind young teacher with the ringing voice he loves so much, he lets the story sing into his heart. She would peal out for him, swaying above him like a slender bell, the breaking changes of a life to come. Expatria. Some nights I stand before my bookcase touching the spines. The household gods are murmuring in their sleep. At last I take a volume, open its paper cover like a hatch, and my mind climbs down to the half-remembered country I have left. The same ethereal smell of cold, the same snowlight in the air, from the blue snow squeaking underfoot. The same flakes falling in the silent road, among branches of the silver maple, where the scarlet cardinal shakes himself and sings. I want to take it all in, and I do, so far in, so strangely and imperfectly inside of me, it has to change itself to be there, because I've changed. A fresh breeze rises in the branches. The cardinal utters something through his mask. It's too much. I close the hatch. A weekend in Vienna. All the bookstore windows were festooned with swastikas. Hitler's secretary memoirs had just been published in a new edition. In the Ringstrasse, a whole neighborhood of imperial architecture, brilliant center of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, completed just before the imperial collapse. Roman ruins below street level in the Michaelerplatz. And in the Kunsthistorisches Museum, the Habsburg treasure hoard. I stood before Peter Bruegel's Tower of Bagel for half an hour. Reclining bronze Goethe outside the Berchtgarten, and the Neuburg balcony where Hitler harangued the Austrians, and the Judenplatz, a small concrete bunker, a Holocaust memorial. The banner hung from a nearby building bore Andy Warhol's pop art, Chairman Mao. You took a picture of me, remember, outside Freud's office? And we stood in the street under Mozart's apartment window. Wiener Schnitzel in a pub near the university, coffee and cake at the Sacher Hotel. And in the English bookstore, no sign of my coveted translation of The Man Without Qualities. So I bought a Thomas Bernhard novel instead, Old Masters. We stood on the ramparts of Stephen's Dome. You swam in the Danube, and back at the hotel sobbed at our childlessness. My one regret, we never stayed at that discreet and elegant hotel, the Orient, whose rooms were offered only by the hour. And yet, in some concrete post-war pile somewhere at the University of Vienna, we stood before a doorless and endlessly moving paternoster, and, holding hands, stepped into it together. Thank you, James. The Crystal Palace by Carey, Toane, Canadian poet. 2011. I see it was edited by the ubiquitous Stuart Ross. And let's have a couple of poems from that. Interesting cover, I might say. The Crystal Palace. Oh, is that a little too dark? The world is running out of helium. Well, I didn't know that. Have you ever noticed how people bounce when they laugh? It's my favorite thing ever, maybe yours too. I can't live without organic iced yerba mate, make friends without cigarettes, or sleep with socks on. Today there isn't a cloud in the sky. Robin's egg blue is very in. If you don't believe me, I won't share my bicycle pump. I'm joking about the pump. But really, I can see all the way to Mars. It's sparkling like a headlight. From up there, it's obvious the mountains decide where the towns go. We just lay footpaths till the earth rises and we all come tumbling down. That was pretty funny. I enjoyed that. The hammock. The hammock is easy to assemble. 2 looped ropes into slip knots, feathery cedar trunks. In front of you, silver water, and through the trees, snips of Orange Garage and Van Halen. Then, just when I'm thinking that's all for the day, the tree rains down hard on me, tiny seeds, like sex, or love at least, falling, landing in fragments that catch in my hair, on my thighs, exploding on the way down. I am reminded of the turkey. Bread to eat until it heart bursts. No axe. More from that next time. Carey, Toane, thank you. Kevin Connolly, The Xiphoid Process. Now we're going to dip into some satire here. I haven't seen a satirical poem in ages. And boy, does this Kevin, he really whacks this one out. Now the whole book isn't satire. I found a satirical poem here that I'd like to read. And the rest of the, what I've looked at the rest of the book is very sophisticated. But this one pulls no punches. Hipster on a fixie. Well, let's have a little glass first. Not vodka, by the way. Or gin. Hipster on a fixie. Hipster, the simplicity of your one-gear ride is an apt metaphor for what mostly goes on between your ears. Your 100-mile vegan diet might make sense if you could cook. It's not the fact that you're thin that grates, it's how. Hipster, I agree that Louis C.K. is hilarious and DFW was cool. But isn't that like saying Niels Bohr was clever, Faux is delicious, or the National has put out 4 straight great records? What I don't know is a vast and growing sea, hipster, and you're proving exactly zero help with that. Hipster, it's not that your no-brakes hop over 4 lines of streetcar tracks in the wrong lane in Chinatown. that was completely insane. It's that I wanted you to fall, and normally I'm a caring person. It's not that you're unemployed, it's that you're unemployable, too vague to remember your shifts, too weak to lift a thing. It's not the glasses when you don't have a prescription. It's not even the wallet chain, not really. It's that a wallet is somehow always full, and leather when you're all meat is murder. Hipster, I don't blame you for those trucker hats or those suede sports coats with the faux fur collar that you found at Courage, my love. But when you're lined up at the bar sloshing draft blue ribbon through those spotty beards, you look like a casting call for Das Boot. And I loved that movie up until now. You're white as a rabbit, shaky as a colt, but hipster, I don't hate you because you're young. I hate you because you're you. But you're not all bad. You make Kensington Market in 2016 look much like Kensington Market in 1993. You'd love your pet if you could look after one. You'd buy local, think green, and are totally going to remember to vote the next time. Hate is a powerful emotion, Rita said to Glenn and Gilda. But you have no idea what I'm talking about, do you, hipster? That too makes me hate you so much I fear I'll die of it. Hipster, I know. If we met in person, you'd see I'm not that angry, and I'd probably admit you're not quite the tool I take you for. So let's join hands, hipster. Let us arise and go to Innisfree. Or maybe just to Longo's to get you something to put in the fridge. We'll have a drink at 3 Speed, another at the Dakota. I'll tell you about my cycling dreams. You'll throw the I Ching. Then we'll pedal out into the green mess of June as brothers. A little light humour for your afternoon. Thank you, Kevin. As I say, the rest of the book's quite different. We'll get to that next time. An anthology. It's called Art and Artists, and it is edited by Emily Fragon from the Everyman's Library. Marvelous little book. Poets reflecting on other art forms, usually painting. Many poets. What do we got here? Adam Zagajewski, I apologize for the mispronunciation, and translated by Claire Kavanagh. Edward Degas, The Millinery Shop. Hats are innocent, bathed in a soft light which smooths the contours of objects. A girl is working, but where are brooks, groves? Where is the sensual laughter of nymphs? The world is hungry, and one day will invade this tranquil room. For the moment it contents itself with ambassadors who announce, I'm the ochre, I'm the sienna, I'm the colour of terror, like ash. In me ships sink. I'm the blue, I'm cold, I can be pitiless. And I'm the colour of dying, I'm patient. I'm the purple, you don't see much of me. For me triumphs, processions, I'm the green, I'm tender. I live in wells and in leaves of birch trees. The girl whose fingers are agile cannot hear the voices, for she's mortal. She thinks of the coming Sunday and the rendezvous she has with the butcher's son, who has coarse lips and big hands stained with blood. Robert Haden, 1913 to 1980. I don't know any of these poets, but a marvelous collection. Robert Haden's reflection on Monet's water lilies. Today, as the news from Selma and Saigon poisons the air like fallout, I come again to see the serene grey picture that I love. Here space and time exist in light. The eye, like the eye of faith, believes. The seen, the known, dissolve in iridescence. Become the elusive flesh of light that was not, was, forever is. O light beheld as though refracting tears, Here is the aura of that world each of us has lost. Here is the shadow of its joy. Wow. Osip Mandelstam, 1891, 1938, translated by Clarence Brown and W.S.Merwin. The Last Supper, by Da Vinci, of course. The heaven of the supper fell in love with the wall. It filled with the cracks. It fills them with light. It fell into the wall. It shines out there in the form of 13 heads. And that's my night sky before me, and I'm the child standing under it, my back getting cold, an ache in my eyes, and the wall battering heaven battering me. At every blow of the battering ram, stars without eyes rain down, new wounds in the Last Supper, the unfinished mist in the wall. Czetlaw Milosz, 1911-2004, translated by himself and Robert Haas. Gustav Klimt. The painting Judith. O lips half opened, eyes half closed, the rosy nipple of your unveiled nakedness, Judith. And they, rushing forward in an attack with your image preserved in their memories, torn apart by bursts of artillery shells, falling down into pits, into putrefaction. O massive gold of your brocade, of your necklace with its rows of precious stones, Judith, for such a farewell. Oh my goodness, lots of great stuff here. Lawrence Ferlinghetti, one of those American beats, and he's still with us, thank goodness. Born in 1919. Don't let that horse. Reflections on Marc Chagall's Equestrienne. Don't let that horse eat that violin, cried Chagall's mother. But he kept right on painting and became famous and kept on painting the horse with violin in mouth. And when he finally finished it, he jumped upon the horse and rode away, waving the violin. And then with the low bow, gave it to the first naked newt he ran across. And there were no strings attached. X.J.Kennedy, 1929, and still alive, according to this. Reflections on Nude Descending a Staircase by Marcel Duchamp. Toe upon toe, a snowing flesh, a gold of lemon, root and rind. She sifts in sunlight down the stairs with nothing on, nor on her mind. We spy beneath the banister, a constant thresh of thigh on thigh. Her lips imprint the swinging air that parts to let her parts go by. One woman waterfall, she wears her slow descent like a long cape, and pausing on the final stair, collects her motions into shape. Oh, Allen Ginsberg. I'm sort of just improvising here. Lots of great stuff. I just passed Edith Wharton to get to Allen Ginsberg. I know that's almost criminal at this point, but we'll get to that later. Ginsberg poem on Paul Cézanne's L'État, sorry, and the title is Cézanne's Ports. In the foreground we see time and life swept in a race toward the left hand of the picture where shore meets shore. But that meeting place isn't represented. It doesn't occur on the canvas. For the other side of the bay is heaven and eternity, and with a bleak white haze over its mountains. And the immense water of L'État is a go-between for minute rowboats. Well, Walt Whitman, there's a familiar name. a 3-line poem called A Farm Picture. Through the ample open door of the peaceful country barn, a sunlit pasture filled with cattle and horses feeding, and haze and vista and the far horizons fading away. Oh, you know that famous one by Matisse where the people were dancing around? Natalie Safir has written a poem about that called Matisse's Dance. Natalie was born in 1935, so we're assuming she's still with us. A break in the circle dance of naked women, dropped stitch between the hands of the slender figure stretching too hard to reach her joyful sisters. Spirals of glee sail from the arms of the tallest woman. She pulls the circle around with her fire. What has she found that she doesn't keep losing? Her torso a green burning torch. Grass mounds curve ripely beneath 2 others who dance beyond the blue. Breasts swell and multiply and rhythms rise to gallop. Hurry, frightened one, and grab on, before the stitch is forever lost, before the dance unravels and a black sun swirls from that space. Yes, John Donne. Every man's a tolling bell, or what's that thing? 1572 to 1631, no man is an island, and neither is he a continent, although he might be a universe. Witchcraft by a Pitcher. Never seen this one before. It's a great thing about these anthologies. They take one poem from, the canon, and, you might have John Donne's collected poems, but you'll never get through the whole thing because it's that darn big. And they make you focus on one. I love that. Witchcraft by a Pitcher. I fix mine eye on thine, and there pity my pitcher burning in thine eye. My pitcher drowned in a transparent tear. When I look, lower I espy. Hadst thou the wicked skill by pitchers made and marred to kill, how many ways mightest thou perform thy will? But now I have drunk thy sweet salt tears, and though thou pour more, I'll depart. My pitcher vanished, vanish fears that I can be endamaged by that art. Though thou retain of me one pitcher more, yet that will be, being in thine own heart, from all malice free. Thomas Hardy. Famous novelist, good poet, and Dylan Thomas once said that Yeats was the best 20th century poet, but Hardy was his favourite. On the portrait of a woman about to be hanged, comely and capable, one of our race, posing there in your gown of grace, plain yet becoming. Could subtlest breast ever have guessed what was behind that innocent face, drumming, drumming? Would that your causer, ere null your knell, for this riot of passion might deign to tell why, since it made you sound in the germ, it sent a worm to madden its handiwork, when it might well not have essayed you. Not have implanted to your deep rue the Clytemnestra spirit in you, and with purblind vision sowed a tare in a field so fair, and a thing of symmetry, seemly to view, brought to derision. Brought to derision. Well, there's Christine Rossetti, William Shakespeare, Robert Browning, Constantine Peccavi, Oscar Wilde, Anne Provost, oh my goodness, John Stone, Rainer Maria Rilke, Shelley, Gabriela Mistral, John Keats, On Seeing the Elgin Marbles. Lots of great stuff here. And Donald Hall, we haven't heard him from a while. Well, here's the Donald Hall and Henry Moore, The Declining Figure. An American poet, I think, 1928. Then the knee of the wave turned to stone. By the cliff of her flank I anchored, in the darkness of harbors laid by. Great stuff. Anyway, another poetry show has come and gone. And I wish you much beautiful language in your hearts and minds. For poetry is not only the language of poets, it is the passport to transcendence for all mankind. Indeed it is. And if I can just reach the off button, I'll say farewell.